Welcome to this code conversation on tips for using the AI coding editor Cursor. Now, if you're wondering whether this course is for you, then I have a couple of questions for you. Maybe you're curious about AI coding tools, but you're unsure where you should start. Or maybe you're overwhelmed by the frequency or amount of coding tasks that you have to tackle. Or you're just looking for ways to streamline your workflows. If any of these applies to you, then you're in the right course. Let me give you a quick preview of the things that you'll see in this course. First of all, I always like to show things practically. So you will be exploring the AI coding editor Cursor while you're also building a Python fast API app. That'll give me a bunch of opportunities to show you different features of Cursor and also just focus on the ones that are relevant for developing a practical project. For example, you'll see some of the different interaction modes that exist within Cursor. You'll get to know plan mode that can help you to organize and streamline the strategy before actually starting to code. And then also agent mode, which is the mode where the model then goes ahead and performs tasks for you, such as creating files, writing code, and also, for example, testing implementations. You'll get to see one of the strengths of Cursor, which is that you can select different models, which is not limited to one provider, but through Cursor, you can access models from OpenAI, Google, or Anthropic, or others, and just switch between them for different tasks. You can also use multiple models simultaneously to tackle just a single task and then decide which of the solutions better match what you were trying to do. I'll also show you how you can try to step away from your keyboard and interact with the models using just your voice. You'll see how Cursor has a built-in browser that is very convenient for testing and debugging web applications. I'll show you how you can debug errors that you may run into by just adding error messages to the chat and leveraging that the model has the context of your project available. And I'll also show you that you don't have to let the model do everything. You can also switch to manual coding or executing commands by yourself. And I'll talk a little bit about when may be a good time to switch between different modes, between handing off control and taking control back. In this course, I'm working with a paid subscription of Cursor. That's the lowest tier paid subscription. But there is also a free version, and you should be able to work through the free version as well, although you will run into usage limits more quickly, and there's a limited model selection. Now, if this sounds interesting to you, I'm going to show you how to install and set up Cursor, then walk you through the Cursor interface, tackling both the agents view and the editor view. I'm going to show you how to use plan mode and agent mode, how you can select different models and also select multiple models for a workflow, how you can create prompts using your voice and then even submit them using your voice. You'll get to see some version control in action, and we'll together resolve a merge conflict and then do some testing on the fast API app, fix a bug with AI support and the likes. I'll also, throughout the course, give and take control between myself as the driver and then also the AI model as the executor of some of the tasks. And finally, there will be some learning opportunities because there's always a chance to learn something new. And I want to also tackle how you might encounter that in an AI-assisted coding environment and how you can use it and leverage it to learn new things. So I hope you'll stick around. And in the next lesson, I'll show you how to get and install Cursor and set it up. You may already have a good idea why you want to try out an AI-assisted coding tool, but why Cursor specifically? And there's probably a couple of points, but two that I want to mention is that it has a familiar interface. If you've been working with VS Code or any IDE that is similar to VS Code, you'll feel right at home. And also you can import your settings and use all the keyboard shortcuts that you're already familiar with. So this gives you a big boost in productivity right away. Secondly, it's vendor agnostic, which means that you can use models from all sorts of different AI companies, such as OpenAI, Google, Anthropic, and also others, and you can switch between them for different tasks. You may find that you like working with one model more than another, but then maybe there's an update to that model and it doesn't behave the way that you want anymore. Then you can switch over to something else, or even just use one model for one task and another model for different tasks. Also, it is quite a mature product with a lot of users, so it's worth it to try out if you're curious about AI-assisted coding. So as a first step, go to cursor.com and download the program so that you can install it on your system. The page is going to look something like this. I'm here on a Mac, so it shows me that I can download for macOS, but Cursor exists for all major platforms, so you should just be able to download it for your system. After you've downloaded and installed Cursor, you'll be prompted to sign in. So you need to have an account on cursor.com in order to use the IDE. So you need to click on sign in. You'll be prompted to log in your browser, and you can choose how you want to log into Cursor. If you don't have an account yet, you need to create one, then enter your email or use any of the other sign-in methods, and then log in. Once you're logged in, you'll see login is gone, and instead it tells you what tier you're on. So for me, it says Pro here. If you're on the free version, it'll say free. The features are very similar. You have much lower usage limits in the free tier, and there's some models that you can't select with the lower paid tiers. This is also true for the tier that I'm on. So there's a couple of more expensive models that I can't use with this tier. Now, before you do anything more, I would suggest to switch on privacy mode. If you open the command palette by pressing Command-Shift-P and then type settings, then you can open the cursor settings. You can also access them through cursor and settings through the menu. Inside of settings, in the general tab, you can scroll all the way to the bottom to get to the privacy section. And here you have the option to switch on privacy mode. By default, this will be set to share data, which sends back usage data to the company, and then it uses it to improve the coding models and the editor. But if you want to opt out of training, then you can switch to privacy mode to make sure that the code that you write and your project information is not used for training any models. Go ahead and close the settings, and with that, you're ready to open a project. Just click on Open Project and select a new empty folder. And I click on Open. And then you are in the main interface. In the next lesson, I'll walk you over what you can see in this interface and what the different parts of it mean. Let's start this cursor tour by looking at the different interfaces that you're likely to see. So you have two main views. One is this editor that likely looks familiar to you if you've used VS Code before. And then it also has the agents view that looks a bit different and more like a vibe coding tool. In the editor, you have on the left side, you will see your folder and file structure. In the middle, you're going to see the files that you're editing if you open up a code file. And on the right side, you will have the AI chat interface where you can interact with the different models. Additionally, you can also always pull up a terminal, and that works the same as it does in VS Code or other IDEs and editors. Now, the agents interface is a bit different, and we're going to look at all of this while I walk you through building a project. Here, you are really focused on the chat interface, so the interaction with different LLMs. And then on the left side, you can create agents. So you can start multiple agents at the same time, and they'll show up here. Essentially, you can think of it as something like an expanded version of this chat interface that you can see on the right side in the editor view. However, there are also other things. You are able to open up a browser, so you can click connect to browser, and then this opens up a little browser window also inside of Cursor, and that allows you to view, for example, if you're doing some sort of web development, then you can view the page that you're building directly in Cursor as well. All right, so that's just a quick overview. I'm going to try to touch on all the different aspects, and I'll start off in the, maybe for developers, more familiar view of the editor. So one point that I also want to drive home in this overview of Cursor is that you are still in control. Even though this has a lot of power, and you'll see in just a bit, you can still do stuff by yourself. You can write code by yourself, and you can also write terminal commands by yourself. And so let's start off by doing that. Like, one good practice for software development is that you're going to start off a Git repository right at the beginning. So I'm going to say here Git init, and I'm just typing this normally as I would if I did not develop with AI right now. Let's see status. On branch, no commits yet because there's nothing in there. But now I have a Git repository in here, and I can both track and commit files myself, or I can also ask the AI to do these steps for me. And now let's jump a little bit into viewing the power that some of these tools now present you with. So I'm hopping over to the agents view. And another thing that I always like to start with is not start with the agent right away, but go into plan mode first. So I'm going to select plan mode. And you can also select a different model if you want to. Auto might be a good choice. In this case, I'm going to go with Sonnet 4.5. I like to use these models for planning. And I'm going to create a prompt that is going to instruct the LLM what I want to build here. But in plan mode, it's not actually going to start building anything first. It's just going to present me with the plan of what it is planning to build, right? One thing that I also like to do is to use voice input. You can click on this little symbol here or use the shortcut. On my Mac, it's Command, Shift, and Space. And then you just speak the words in here instead of needing to type them. So let's try that out. Hi, I would like to create a fast API app that can give me back randomized items. I should also be able to add items, update items, delete items. So I want the basic CRUD functionality on a REST API that is built with Python's fast API. I'd like you to use Pydantic to make sure that for data validation. And yeah, I want the basic CRUD endpoints, and then also another endpoint that gives me back all the string items that I've added to the app in a randomized order. All right, so I stopped that now. You can see that the voice is not 100% great yet, so I might want to go in here and edit it a bit. Depends also how fluently you speak, probably. But again, even if you submit this by voice, you still have a chance to edit it. Okay, I like to use Pydantic to make sure that for data validation. All right, so this is a bit me conversationally talking, and maybe it's not entirely great, what it recorded in here. There's also external tools that you can use for this voice input, but it's nice that you have this included already in Cursor. Now, let me add some more information. Please manage the project using UV, UV init, UV add, etc., and use a modern PyProject TOML format. Also, please use modern Python type hints, avoiding from dunder future import, and follow PEP 8 everywhere. All right, so I've added a bit more project information by text. So it's either you can speak it or you can also type it in there. And now I could go off and create this plan. But before you'll actually watch that plan getting made, I want to briefly tell you about the option to use multiple models for a task. So let's do that in the next lesson.